I think that we're also in the moment, given where we could be headed one way or the other, and given the lack of historical context and experience that the majority, overwhelming majority of Black people in America now have. They have become Americanized in ways that their ancestors and forefathers and mothers could not. Okay, America would not have permitted that, but capitalism is a hell of a drug, and so the integration and the desegregation of America has nothing to do with enlightenment about race. It just has to do with the commodification of people and the need for further expansion and economic consolidation. Because basically, capitalism, uh, uh, Edward Ellery, the environmental activist, had a great description of capitalism. He said, capitalism is growth for growth's sake. And growth for growth's sake is the etiology of a cancer cell. So ultimately, it absorbs and assumes. And the reality is, we need to figure out a way to have a kind of internal conversation to really withdraw from America at the emotional, intellectual level to say, who are we? Why are we? And what do we want to do about being here? And that the for me, and I don't know how it happened, but you could argue the impetus of the civil rights movement at its inception was to desegregate America, to stop it from being illegal to bar us from public space. Somehow that got twisted into integration, and that whole notion of integration has an underlying premise of the inferiority of anything Black. So we abandon ourselves to be absorbed into a system that doesn't want us. And the advantage our forefathers, ancestors had is that was never their issue. Matter of fact, I think my the value that I have is a function of being raised in an all Black community. Now I've lived integrated adult life, but my foundational stuff comes from the fact that I didn't go into the world until I had been properly immunized in an all Black community. And I would argue, even though, some years separate us, about 12, 15, you guys also came up the same way with parents who had experienced that other America and prepared you for that. Now, so many of us abandoned that, and then we raise children who actually think they're Americans, like they are Americans. And there's a legitimate question about two legitimate questions. One, will we ever be Americans like white Americans? First question. And the second question is, do we want to be like white Americans? I wouldn't give up none of my Black self to be nothing white in America. Categorically, I can tell you that right now. I raised my kids the same way, and it looks like they raised their kids the same way. So we have some really serious internal philosophical existential discussions we need to have. It's why our political leadership looks so disjointed, because we no longer have a common identity that historically we always had. Even when black leadership fought about tactical stuff, okay? And they did. There's never been a time when you had unanimity of opinion in black leadership. But you did have a consensus that they were black leadership. It wasn't trying to be white leadership. Wasn't nobody trying to be the president of the United States. Because the president of the United States comes at being at the expense of your blackness. And which is why, and I'm talking about your American blackness. And that's something Obama and Harris don't have. They are the first generation children of an immigrant and a white woman. So how they internalize being black in America is totally different than the way I internalize it. And our problem is so many of us who are the descendants of the African diaspora internalize America the way Obama and Harris did. And that ain't your black experience. And it's never going to be your black experience as long as white people in America are who they are.